Hey, um, hello everyone, this is Garnamo. Welcome back. This is more Doki-Doki Lucha Club Plus. Um, Hopefully I'll be able to get this done. Um, in this stream, only got 4 more left of the side stories. So, I think we should get into it so we can try and finish this off. Am I bothering you? No. Okay, just checking it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell since you always look so into it when you're reading. It makes me scared to interact. Well, it's within my expectations to be interrupted when I read here. It's mainly when I'm by myself that I don't like it. That makes sense. I guess if you're here in the first place, then you're more ready to socialize, even if it takes a little bit of prodding. Prodding. It's not so bad to be social if I let others do the work, so it can be healthy to put myself in a social environment every now and then. It's mostly difficult when I don't know anyone, or there are too many people, or everyone is being too silly for me to keep up with. Yui glances across the room at Sayori and Natsuki. Sayori has her head cocked back and her mouth open, trying to catch pieces of a cookie that Natsuki is lobbing into the air. But the pieces keep bouncing off her face and hitting the floor. Maybe I should say something. No need. They just ran out of cookie. What a waste. They've really become good friends, haven't they? I'm happy. So he always seems particularly good at making that happen. But the two of them are both on the energetic side. I suppose I suppose it works out well. Yeah, come to think of it, you and I haven't had many chances to talk one-on-one, have we? Though that may be partially my fault, since I'm supposed to be the one engaging club members. Not, not at all. I've probably formed a habit of drawing minimal attention to myself. The responsibility is equally on me at least to display some openness to engage. Well, what about during times like lunch? Do you meet up with friends? I I just read. Oh, but I like it that way. It feels nice to be carried off again after a morning of classes. Do you always read fantasy? Oh, not always. I suppose it's all I've read recently, but only because I'm in the middle of this series. There are still 2 more books after this one. I guess those long books suit you well, since you spend so much time reading. Well, fantasy may be my favorite, but after that, I'm more or less indiscriminate to genres. I'll, I'll read anything with depth, and maturity. Oh yeah, even like romance. Well, there are a lot of books that have elements of romance in them. Oh come on, Yuri, you know what I mean. Monica lowers her voice. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, so I won't tell anyone if you do too. Maybe more when I was in middle school. I mean, I was really lonely and people were mean to me a lot. So it kind of felt like, please don't make me think about the past. So I just got super curious. You know, we should totally pick out a romance novel to read. That would be so much fun. Absolutely not. Really? Even if it was just between us? Try asking someone who has no shame, like Natsuki. Ouch. Sorry. I swear I didn't mean that. Hello, how are you? Oh, I guess it was my fault for pressing you. I'm like that for things in my past too. You know, things I feel too embarrassed to re-experience. There's nothing wrong with growing out of things. It happens to everyone. For instance, Natsuki's interest in manga reminds me quite a bit of how intense I used to be about my own interest. It makes me think that she'll likely grow out of it too. Hey, were you talking about me? No, we were just talking about how our interests have changed over the years. When did you get into manga, Natsuki? Like a couple years ago, I guess. I was already sort of into it before that, but I wasn't really going hard until then. Oh, yeah? What was it that inspired you to get more into it? I don't know. I guess, let me think. It was after I discovered a series that I really liked. Yeah, I was just like really fed up with a lot of things, and I got super into this one series that I really related to. I guess I had an edgy phase where I just hated everyone around me and wanted to be myself. Hey, kind of like Yui with Monica. Sorry, that's completely wrong. So it's still cool that you both really found your thing. They are almost like opposites, but it sounds like they helped you a lot through hard times. You know it. Oh, what the heck? Is that book even bigger than the last one you were reading? Uh, um, it's technically slightly longer, but not by very much. How high do you think it would go if you stacked up the whole series? Natsuki estimates by holding her hand high above her head, sizing up an imaginary stack. I should get one of those mangas that's like 50 volumes long so that I can say I've read more than you. Not that I have the money for that. Please, that would hardly count when your books only have a few words per page. I know, I was just joking. I could never actually read books like yours. It's too boring for me. Yuri shoots a glare at Natsuki. It's not boring. Chill, I said for me, not for you. I can have my own opinion. I just think it's too convoluted. So Yuri ate those from the floor. Gross. Also, wash your hands before touching any of my books. But my hands aren't dirty. Just do it. The oils are there even if you can't see them. Fine. So Yuri trots out the door and Natsuki follows. Yuri, you look a little upset. What kind of nerve does she have to call my hobby boring? Well, she did correct herself. Hardly she was so condescending. I don't mind if she thinks it's not for her. I already understand that it's not for everyone. But she knows well how much these mean to me. So how about just leaving me alone instead of needlessly telling me the things you hate about it? I'm sorry, Yui. You may be right. This won't be the last time people have strong feelings about what they like and don't like. Especially in a literature club. So I should figure out how to mediate discussions to keep them positive and constructive. For the record, I've always been impressed by the level of creativity in your books and also your ability to get through them so quickly. Thank you. Okay, well, this is something that I'll have to think about and revisit. I'm sure I can help Natsuki find some common ground with you. Common ground isn't necessary. I just wish to be respected. That then, either way, I'll do my best. I'm skeptical when it comes to Natsuki. I trust you, Monica, but I'm skeptical. Well, that is a bit loud. Okay, everyone, we have a special club meeting today. As you know, the literature club is a place where we get to share things that we are really passionate about. But that also means we should be mindful of how we respond to each other's feelings. I think we have a chance to turn our differences into positive energy for each other. Aren't you being a little dramatic about this? This is important to me. Well, sorry. I just feel like I'm being accused or something. No, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm sorry if I came off that way, but our conversation yesterday had made me reflect on the power of language, and I thought it would be a good topic for the literature club, don't you think? I'm sure we are going to have differences in opinion a lot, so I need to make sure we are preparing to keep a positive atmosphere in the club, if you say so. Sure, the cool thing about language is that it gives us a lot of different ways to express the same idea or emotion. We have a lot of control over how we want the other person to feel when receiving our thought. This goes for poetry, narratives, casual conversation, basically anything. For example, Sayori, what's your favorite food? I have them organized by category. Should I start with snacks, or do you mean full meals? Should I include breakfast? Oh jeez. Okay, how about your favorite food? That's easy. Cherries. Really? I always thought cherries tasted nasty. What? Cherries are delicious. Whoa, that's a pretty strong reaction. Well, I just don't understand how somebody could think cherries are nasty. How does that make you feel? I don't know. Sad? Defensive, maybe? Yeah, I got defensive. See, the reason you had such a strong reaction wasn't just because I don't like cherries. It's because you felt like your opinion was under attack. But that's weird, right? Something like taste is completely subjective. But when I say something like, I think cherries taste nasty, I'm using objective language. I'm challenging Sayori's reality that cherries are delicious with my own, which is that cherries are nasty. Wait, hold on. How is that objective when you just said it was only your own opinion? It has to do with the way our brains interpret the words. You're talking about the variety of the cherries, not your feelings about them. Like, Sayori, let's rewind for a second and pretend I didn't tell you that I think cherries are nasty. Good. So, what if instead of that I said, like, I've tried cherries and they are not for me. It's not the kind of flavor I enjoy. Well, that's fine. As long as you don't call them nasty. Nasty is a nasty word. Okay, so cherries was kind of a weird example, but I think it gets the point across. This time around, instead of talking about the cherries, I just talked about my feelings, and Sayori didn't get defensive. So instead of clashing with each other, it's like we received an invitation to talk about our differences. You don't need to take notes. I'm not gonna quiz you or anything or something. Is that something? Yeah. I know that. I was just sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. you can do whatever you like. But does anyone have any thoughts so far? Yeah, I just feel like I shouldn't have to put all my language through a filter just to protect someone's feelings. Well, you don't have to. The choice is yours on how you want to come across to other people. I'm only suggesting it as a tool to help turn your differences into a positive experience rather than an argument. What, Sayori? Whatever you say, cherry hater. Oh, come on. Sayori, I actually like cherries. I was just saying that to help demonstrate. What the heck? I've been duped. I'm sorry, Sayori. I'll make it up to you later. How about a cherry sundae? You are welcome to dupe me anytime, my beloved president. Buying your people's loyalty. How deplorable. Like you would turn down a free sundae, Yuri. You were certainly a fan of those cupcakes I bought in the other week. That was, I was reading and not keeping track of them. Oh, that's enough. We are getting off topic. So now that we have the gist of it, how about we try it with something more relevant to the club, like manga, right? Let's try to have a productive discussion about our differences in an opinion. Yuri, do you want to start? Well, I'd rather not, no. How come? Well, because I don't see how anything productive can come from that. It's just going to start a fight. No, it'll be fine. That's why I'm here to moderate. Let's just have a calm and rational discussion. Yeah, give me a little more credit. I'm not a child. You don't have to coddle my feelings. I always think it's more respectable to just speak your mind. Respectable. Use expression changes that word. As Monica recalls, being respected was the crux of the matter for Yuri. Well, the point of the exercise isn't exactly like it's fine. I have nothing against anyone personally. You're entitled to enjoy whatever it is you like. I just prefer more depth and nuance in my reading material. I look for stories that are imaginative and sophisticated beyond the surface level. Oh, well, that's just a misunderstanding then. I thought you were gonna say that manga's for children or something. Like I don't hear that enough. Oh, like I don't hear enough of that. But there's plenty of deep manga. I'm not clueless about manga. I've read my own fair share when I was younger. What? Are you serious? How come you never told me? Because I'm past that point in my life and I really prefer not to revisit it. I prefer more mature things now. Excuse me. Okay, hold on. Can I jump in here? Let's try to keep things subjective. Because if you imply that manga is immature, then aren't you implying that someone is immature for being into it? Well, maybe it's immature to judge people for having different tastes than you. Natsuki. Nobody's immature. I've read Natsuki's manga and Yuri's fantasy, and I love them both in their own way. Okay. It's great that you like it, but I still find it boring. Boring isn't subjective. Okay, it bores me. That's subjective. But, I mean, the thing about this is ridiculous. Do you see why I didn't want to participate in this? I knew it was just going to make people upset. I'm not upset. Like I said, I don't care what other people think. But I always got the impression that you secretly looked down upon me. So I'm glad my suspicions were confirmed. That's not true at all. You're making assumptions. You can't blame me for getting defensive when nobody ever has the least bit of respect for the things that I'm into. The only thing I look down upon is when people make fun of me for just being myself and trying to mind my own business. What? Have you looked in the mirror? Tell me again about respect after calling all my interests immature. You can't. Please stop. Please. You don't mean the things you're saying right now. Let's just be friends. I didn't mean for this to happen. Well, it did. So please don't invite yourself to try and solve other people's problems next time, okay? Yuri's piecing words send the club room into a choked silence as she gathers her things. She leaves. Holy crap. I've never heard her sound like that before. She must be so pissed. Well, you weren't very nice either, so I was just saying, how did this happen? It's my fault. Yui wasn't wrong. I shouldn't have tried to moderate a conflict when I know how bad I am at dealing with conflicts. It was a really stupid thing for me to do. It's nobody's fault, and it wasn't stupid. Everyone in the club is a nice person. Nobody would have expected this. But I guess we are sensitive about the things we really love. Honestly, she kind of brought it upon herself. Like I said, I don't care if you're not into manga, but if you actually look down on other people for it, that's kind of the point I was trying to make in the first place. It's not about sugarcoating things. It's about just recognizing and understanding our differences. Okay, but there's the thing about that. Wait. But here's the thing about that. Yuri actually looks down on on me. It has nothing to do with her word choice or anything like that. So I see what you were trying to do, but I really think the problem here is her, not just like the way we talk to each other, right? I mean, Yui isn't like that. She's a lot sweeter than you're giving her credit for. I'm sure she'll be reflecting on this. I actually think everyone should. It'll be fine. I'll, I'll figure something out. Wow, I'm just like saying that instinctively. I'm just setting myself up to cause more problems. This wasn't your fault, Monica. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. If you ask me, it's good that the truth finally came out because I can just move on now. But it's fine, I promise. Let's just get our mind off this, okay? In fact, it's a good opportunity to read some manga without having to worry about feeding Yui's support. Superiority, complex, don't be mean. Or talk or read manga or whatever you want, but don't be mean to my friends, okay? Sorry, I'm just bitter. Everything will be okay. I mean, I don't have the answers, but I at least know that we are all good people and don't want to hurt each other. This will be a learning. This will be a learning experience. Monica says that, but her uneasiness is given away by how much she has to force the reassuring note, wait, reassuring tone in her voice. This was bound to happen eventually. Natsuki and Yui have always engaged with each other the least out of anyone, and this is the reason. As Sayori and Natsuki proceed to distract themselves with manga, Monica sighs to herself, unable to shake her worried thoughts. Will the club really have to just come to terms with the fact that some members will be incompatible with each other? Monica desperately doesn't want to admit that, and she knows Sayori doesn't either. But for once, a solution doesn't seem to be in sight. Okay, so only thing is, I wish it comes up with what music was added. Got some more mail. As a reminder to help guide our data collection, any analysis performed should be focused on answering some of these main questions. How does granting elevated access to the VM affect a person's emotional state? How does granting elevated access to the VM affect a person's values and goals? How does someone effectively navigate and experiment with their ability to change the contents of their VM? How is elevated access being weaponized? What actions and values most contribute to the destruction of the universe? Most importantly, how might your observations apply to our own universe? Bonus, how can we present this to upper management as an operation that benefits benefits the company? Unrelated note, whoever changed the color scheme of the desktop to pink, can you please change it back? It's unprofessional and it runs the risk of drawing eyes. What? Okay. Yeah, part two of reflection, is it? Yeah, reflection. A new day arrives. Sayori arrives at the club room earlier than usual. That is, not late. As she enters, it appears to be empty still. So she sits down at a desk and pulls out a sheet of paper, primed to jot down her thoughts. Sayori has made a habit of scribbling her thoughts and feelings onto paper whenever possible, as it tends to serve as her best inspiration for poetry. My heart feels vacant because a ship sailed away. Yo, yeah. Natsuki. Natsuki pokes her head out from behind the closet door. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you, but it would have been a lot more awkward if I didn't say anything. I doubt you want me listening in on your poetry thing. Yeah. Thanks for realizing that. Should I let you finish that up then? Oh no, it wasn't. I mean, I just do it whenever it's convenient. You're not interrupting. Where's Monica, by the way? Oh, she's out in the hallway. Huh? Why? Well, just in case she runs into Yui. Sometimes Yui is too nervous to come into the clubroom by herself, so... Oh, jeez. Does Yui really let things bother her for that long? She can't control her feelings. For some people, it's really hard to cope when you get a bad thought in your head. Maybe you can distract yourself for a little while, but as soon as it's just you and your thoughts again, it comes back. I just want us to have a normal club meeting. It's a lot easier to pretend like it never happened if we all just ignore it and move on. I don't want to be bothered by this. It's so stupid. Her opinion of me doesn't matter anyway. Besides, it makes me feel really guilty, and I hate that too. It's okay to have feelings. It doesn't make you weak. Let's figure this out together. fine. Only because you're good at this stuff. Let's try come up with a happy scene. Maybe that will help us understand where your bad feelings are coming from. Well, I was happy with the way things were before we had to have that conversation yesterday. What part of the conversation made you upset? Was it you being mean about the manga? Maybe. I doubt it though. Because my friends and other people make fun of manga all the time. But I just brush it off and ignore them. But something about it really got to me this time. And I hate that I'm letting that happen. Is it because it came from Yui? No, why would that matter? I mean, well, maybe. I hate that she thinks she's so much better than me. Just because she likes to pretend to be all sophisticated. Yeah, that's what it is. At least other people decide that they don't like me, or manga or whatever. But Yui acts like she's too good to even give it a chance. I'm sorry, everyone deserves a chance. Yeah, exactly. Would you give Yui's books a chance? After this, obviously not. What about before this? Oh, I would until I got bored, which wouldn't take very long. But if you actually keep an open mind, then it's not hard to realize that a story can be deep and meaningful without being needlessly complicated. I see. But you know, I like Yui's books. Yeah, but you like manga more, right? So he always shakes her head. I like them both. Like them in different ways, but I like them both. I mean, the manga, it's really honest and fun and easy to just let go with. And the fantasy has a lot to interpret and uncover. And it's really rewarding to have some good quiet time together with it. But the most important thing is that both the manga and the fantasy are true to themselves. So I love them both. And I think there's room for both of them to be in the same club together. And I just feel like maybe they have more in common than you would think. How do you get along with everyone so well? I always get into fights with people. Like, first it was with Monica when I was new to the club, and then it was you, and now it's Yui. And I'm always like, oh, that person is being such a jerk. And if they just realized that, then we could at least get along. But nobody else has this problem. I just keep running away from the reality that everybody's just a jerk to me because nobody likes me. And I don't know why, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hate it. Natsuki. Sayori puts a comforting hand on Natsuki's shoulder. You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved as much as everyone else. Everyone has different ways they like to communicate, you know, and sometimes that makes it harder for us to understand each other. I think that sometimes we get lucky and we make friends who are really good at the same kinds of communication, and it feels like you magically connect with them. But other times, even if both people are really nice, it's easy for them to misunderstand each other or to get the communication wrong. It's something that Yui struggles a lot with too. It can be really hard. It takes a lot of like reflection and self-awareness and vulnerability. I'm bad at that one. Vulnerability. I always have to be the strongest. What do you mean? Tell me about that part of you. Well, it sounds stupid, but I'm really used to people being mean to me. Like my friends and I guess my dad. Like when I don't get good grades or even stupid things, like if my room isn't clean. So what am I gonna do? Cry about it? If I let myself get upset, then it's just letting them win. I'm better than that. I'm better than all of them. So things always have to be everyone else's fault. It feels like if something goes wrong and there's even a tiny hint that it might be my fault, then I just get really angry and I find ways to blame everything else instead. Do you see yourself as better than Yui? If I said that, then I would just sound really full of myself. No, our thoughts and our feelings are two different things. Even if if even if we don't like our feelings, we have to understand them if we want to learn more about themselves. That's a part of vulnerability, you know, accepting that we have feelings that we don't like. I I hate that. My feelings make me a bad person because my feelings just want to tell me that I'm so much better than her, that she's a judgmental know-it-all who's stuck in her edgy phase, and that I'm just way above that garbage. But I'm terrible for feeling that way. You're not terrible. You are not your feelings, but you are not your feelings. Say that to yourself out loud. Fine. I'm not my feelings. The way that I like to picture it is that those feelings are like your roommate. You live in the same house and you gotta see each other every day. And even if you can ignore each other most of the time, you're gonna run into each other every now and then, and it's gonna make you feel like poop. So the other option is to get to know each other. You can communicate and learn from each other, and maybe even help each other change for the better. Does that help you understand? How do you know so much about this stuff? I just have a roommate that can be really hard to get along with, called depression. Depression. But you're like the happiest person I know. I am not my feelings. I want to be a good person like you. You little sweetheart. We are all good people. You and Yui and Monica. And I think Yui will eventually learn that about you. Natsuki remains silent, feeling a little overwhelmed. Despite Sayori's kind reassurance, a complicated mixture of pain and sadness seems to fill her, as though flowing from a wound inside her. Was it a result of her vulnerability? No, it wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound, one that cannot simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. Yui, what are you doing all the way over here? I was looking for you. Please don't yell at me. Oh, I'm not going to yell at you. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. It was unfair for me to put everyone on the spot like that. Next time I won't just try to jump in and solve everyone's problems. I guess it's a bad habit of mine. You're not mad at me? I thought you were the one mad at me. I was so awful yesterday. Yui curls up, recalling the details of the argument. I can't even have a normal conversation without saying something wrong and making everyone upset. Hold on, that's not what happened at all. Let's talk about this, okay? Yui pauses for a second, then manages a nod. Monica takes a seat next to her on the staircase. I'm having a lot of negative thought patterns and I can't get away from them. What kinds of negative thought patterns? Like, everyone hates me, especially Natsuki. That's terrible. I don't think Natsuki hates you. How do you know? Well, because Monica thinks back to the time that she herself found herself in an altercation with Natsuki, and how a display of maturity from Monica was enough for Natsuki to evaluate her own feelings as well. I think Natsuki is just naturally defensive. I think she acts mean when she feels the need to protect herself. But you know, she's really not a bad person. In fact, I think she can be really thoughtful and considerate. She just, well, I guess the way it works is that she wants to receive some degree of kindness first before she feels comfortable returning it. Oh, but that means the burden is on me, and I don't know how to say things that make people like me. Every time I open my mouth, Yuri shakes her head at herself and tugs on her hair. It's okay, Yuri. You don't need to beat yourself up. I think anyone would like you if they had the chance to get to know you. Well, unfortunately, the opposite is true. That's why I'm not talkative anymore in the first place. Because everyone used to think I was weird and talk about me behind my back. That's just what happens when I draw attention to myself. Natsuki even said she found it more respectable when people speak their mind. So I did, and then she hated me anyway. That was enough to confirm my fears. But Sayori and I like you, and we've gotten to know you a lot by now, right? Yui doesn't seem to have a response. Hey, what do you think of Natsuki? I don't think about her. That's not what I meant, really. I was just wondering if you had an opinion of her. I do. What is it? Natsuki seems to bring out the worst in me, and I feel really ashamed of it. I like to think of myself as a fairly sophisticated person, so for someone to just treat me like I'm inferior despite my taste, that's just the worst kind of insult coming from someone like her, and it makes me think bad things about her. But everyone else seems to like her, so the only explanation is that it's me who's doing something wrong again, and my feelings about her are wrong, and I'm wrong to get upset over something so childish and inconsequential. No, Yui, feelings are never wrong. Well, you're not right. That's the thing. Feelings are never right or wrong, you know. They are just a state of being that we don't always have control over. But that doesn't mean they have to control us. I feel like that's something I learned around when I first started the club. We can hate ourselves for feeling a certain way about things, or we can, just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand them better. I could never be mad at you for just feeling a certain way. It's about how you handle them, and I think working through feelings is a great opportunity for teamwork. Yui wears a dejected expression. You make it sound so easy. You're so mature and so good with people. I feel like such a child in comparison. Oh, Yui, I'm far from perfect, but these are learned skills. They didn't come naturally to me either. It's really hard to reflect on yourself and separate your feelings from your thoughts. I just want to be a good person. Well, I think it takes a good person to get this far. That's not good enough. I want to be able to communicate it to her. Communicate what? How I feel. How it makes me feel frustrated and upset when she's so negative and dismissive of the things that mean so much to me, and how it reminds me of me, because I know what it's like to feel misunderstood and angry at everyone. I know that telling yourself you're better than everyone else is just a defense mechanism. We are just people. We are fragile and unstable. But I'm just tired of that getting in the way. I can't stand it when the piece is disturbed like this. Yeah, you can't focus on your reading when the piece is disturbed, right? Because Literature Club should be happy for everyone. Monica looks at Yui in adoration. I feel like Sayori must be rubbing off on me, because I really want to hug you now. Where's that? Because I really want to, yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. No, I mean, well, if you wanted to, then I wouldn't really mind. So, Monica pulls Yui into a short embrace. It was so gentle, and I love when you communicate your feelings. I feel lucky to get to see that side of you, and I'm sure Natsuki will too. I'm going to write her a letter. Oh, a letter. What a great idea. Just because I'm not good at talking, especially under pressure. I always let my feelings get the best of me, and I forget to say all the important things, and I say things I don't mean. That's basically me. Well, I think a letter would be wonderful. Such a nice way to communicate. Yui's face hardens with determination. People don't naturally gravitate towards me like they do for you and Sayori. My personality just isn't suited for that. And I wouldn't want it to be. But something I've learned is that friendships don't always just magically appear out of thin air. For instance, I never would have seen myself making friends with someone like Sayori. We are opposite in a lot of ways, but I'm friends with her because she puts so much effort into understanding me so that we can get along. I think it was the same with you. You both gave me a lot of time and patience, and I wonder if she feels the same way. Natsuki? Yui nods. I always thought that if I wanted to make more friends, I had to be somebody that I'm not. That there's a type of person or a magical formula I have to follow in order to make someone like me. And that's just like me to think that. Always so occupied with myself that I fail to understand other people. Yui shakes her head. Friendship happens when you think about the other person. When you offer time and effort to understand them and respect them and trust that they also want to be a good person. That's what I learned through my observations in the literature club. Observations. Monika is caught by surprise. Yui has always kept to herself so much that it's so unusual to hear her suddenly talking about the club like this. But Yui gently smiles to herself. You always let me listen to your thoughts about people. Sayori too. And it makes me happy because I learned a lot of things. That's so sweet. I had no idea it meant that much to you. Monika never thought much of it, but in the past weeks, Yui always seemed to be especially attentive when it came to the problems and concerns of others. Always wanting to listen and learn more about her friends in the club. It's true, Sayori and Monika are naturally more comfortable with other people and can more easily work through situations of conflict, but that doesn't make them better people. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses and the capacity to improve. And the first step towards improving oneself is reflection and self-awareness. It's something that Yui never gave herself enough credit for, but that Monika can recognize as an incredible trait. And with that, her confidence in the club is restored. A very shy girl with long, pretty hair is wandering the bustling lunchtime hallways, her fist pressed into her collarbone. Then she finds the literature club president's classroom. She stands at the door, glancing all around her before peering inside. Monika is sitting and chatting with a group of unknown friends. Yet, as expected, this was a bad idea after all. Suddenly, Monika glances towards the door, making the girl panic and duck out of sight. Before she can
regain composure and decide for sure to leave, the classroom door gently opens.
Yui, what a surprise to see you during lunch. Yui squeaks. A responds. Please help me. What? Is everything okay? Yui shakes her head. I don't know how to write letters. Thank goodness. I thought there was some kind of emergency. Monica briefly glances over her shoulder at her other friends. Do you want some help? We can go find an empty classroom or something. Is that okay? I feel bad taking you away from your friends. It's totally fine, I promise. We won't really doing anything. One sec. Monica trots back into her classroom, says something like, I gotta go, to her friends, then grabs a pen off her desk before returning to Yui. Okay, let's find somewhere quiet. Yui nods and follows Monica as the two of them set off. How are you today? Huh? Me? Well, yes. Oh gosh. Sorry, I was just caught off guard. I'm doing well today, just tired. I never seem to get enough sleep during the week. How come? Oh, I don't know. I think I'm just easily distracted. I get really sucked into things and start neglecting the time. Me too, I do that too. Hey, this classroom is empty. Let's go in here. At the paving side, Monica opens a classroom door and the two of them enter. Yui's moment of relaxation ends. She watches as Monica pulls two chairs up to the same desk, then obeys as Monica beckons her to take a seat. She stares down at the empty desk. You nervous? I don't want to do this. We don't have to. We can come up with something else. Yui shakes her head. It's my choice to do something good. I need to take initiative. Gosh, you must be really determined. I know how hard it is to step out of your comfort zone. I'll be sure to encourage you. Yui pushes through her anxiety and grabs her handful of lined paper from her notebook. Then she picks up her pen. There's another CG. Hey, your left hand. Wait. Hey, you're left-handed? That's neat. Yeah. Now, I don't have to worry about bumping your arm. Monica playfully rubs her shoulder against Yui's. Sorry, I'm just being silly, I guess. Anyway, how about we start by listing the different things you want to say to her. Yui thinks. I feel embarrassed all of a sudden. It's okay. How about some of the things you said to me yesterday? But never mind, I guess I'll try.
Yui thinks for a moment longer, her tension evident. Then she writes the word reflection. This is about my reflection on our behavior. The key question is why we act like this towards each other, but have been able to separately be friends with Sayori and Monica. That's me. Yes, it is. So, Yui thinks I've been able to befriend the two of you because you've taken the time to understand my needs and respect my interests. The same goes for Natsuki too. We started off as pretty hostile to each other because I was so worried about getting what I wanted, but she wanted to be respected more than anything else. Once I stopped making it all about me, she was able to do the same. I want to do that too. So what kinds of things do you want to do for her? I want to do the same things for her that I like to receive. I like it when people respond positively to the things I talk about and not just brush me off. I like it when my feelings are taken seriously. And I like when you and Sayori trust that I want to be a good person, even when I'm not doing a good job at it. Let's write those things down. Okay, Yui writes some things down. I think the most important thing to remember here is that Natsuki is feeling vulnerable. So we should make sure that the letter puts her first. It's hard when you're feeling hurt, but it never helps to just tell someone all the things that they are doing wrong. I think first you have to make sure that they know you're ready to respect them and listen to them, and admit the things that you feel you could do better. Then finally, you ask what you would like in return. How does that sound for the structure? It could be 3 paragraphs, one for each of those points. I like that. My thoughts were so disorganized. I had no idea how to come up with any kind of structure. You're so amazing at these things. Oh, stop. You've done so much more than I have, you know. You spent so much time reflecting and being open-minded. That's the hardest thing for anyone to do. All I'm doing is helping you put it on a piece of paper. So I think you're the amazing one. Monica gives Yui's hand a quick squeeze, but as she lets go, she's caught by surprise when Yui curls her fingers to hook Monica's hand in place. For a while they sit like that in silence, save for the occasional scratching of Yui's pen against the paper. Yesterday you told me something that I'm thinking about a lot. What was that? The thing about how feelings aren't right or wrong, and that they are just a state of being no need to come to terms with. It made me think about how a person's behavior isn't always just how they decide to be. It's also made up of their past experiences and their insecurities. I think that helps I think that helps me see other people as actual people rather than as insignificant side characters who are out to get me somehow. Is that how you felt about Natsuki? Yui nods. But in reality, everyone is always trying their best and everyone wants to be happy. Monica peers over at Yui's paper, but to her surprise, Yui pulls it in closer, partially covering it with her arm. I have to be able to read it to help out, you know. It's okay. My thoughts are a lot more organized now after being able to talk to you about it. Now that I'm actually putting it on paper, I realize I really preferred others not to read it. Yuri laughs softly to herself, a rare expression. I'm kind of glad to hear that, actually. I somehow keep finding ways to butt into this whole thing. I've done enough damage. But it's also been so wonderful talking about this. I mean, I always thought you were really smart, but Yui smiles. I will always be terrible at these things. People are just so incomprehensible to me. So incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one. But listening to you so much has really helped me make sense of some things. So that just don't call it damage, please. Yep. Monica gives Yui a gentle smile. I can't believe I came to this club looking for fantasy gigs, and all I got was real friends who value me. Is that a joke? Of course it is. I still can't tell with you. Sorry. No, I love it. Please never change. As you wish. Yui glances at the clock. We're almost out of time. Will you be able to finish? Before the end of the day, probably. But I don't want to come to the club the same day that Natsuki reads it. I'm too shy. I can give it to her instead, if you'd like. Yui nods. As long as you promise not to read it. Of course, I promise. Thank you. Yui exhales and the two stand up. I'll message you when it's ready.
Monica nods. Good luck. I'm here if you need me. Yui returns a nod and the two depart. Hey. There you go. Yui's other one. Is that all of them? Except for one more. Need two more poems. Three more CGs. Got the final background. So that's all done. No more sketches. Yeah, the next CGs would have to be. I'm guessing the ending must have a CG. There must be two CGs in one part, or one CG in the first one. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the last two. It's only been 1 day since Yuri's letter was delivered to Natsuki with Monika's help. Because Yui chose not to attend the club meeting that day, she and Natsuki haven't faced each other since. Although it's only lunchtime, Yui finds herself anxiously counting the hours until she will need to face the outcome of her efforts, whether good or bad. And because the passing by of students was making her feel even more anxious, Yui picked out the most secluded spot she could find to spend her lunch. Because this staircase is under maintenance, no student no student would have any reason for coming here. It's such a relaxing feeling to have a moment of solitude in the middle of a frantic school day. You, what are you doing here? Um, I, I just. Yui grips her book and with enough force to wrinkle the pages beneath the pressure of her thumbs. Well, what are you doing here? I just came to get a drink from the vending machine. The other one is out of the drink I like. Yui notices Natsuki fidgeting with a few coins between her fingers. She nods, avoiding eye contact. Natsuki, also looking away, shuffles over to the vending machine. It's so quiet that every one of every one of her movements seems to reverberate through the entire stairwell. After far too long, she finally receives her beverage, which she then fidgets within place of the coins. It's some kind of iced tea. But instead of leaving right away, Natsuki just stands in place.
She glances all around her. It's like way too quiet back here. It's creepy. I mean, that's not what I meant, really. I mean, it's totally cool that it's your thing, or whatever. Like, I can see how it suits you, so not because I think you're creepy or something. I didn't mean that either. You know, I'm just gonna stop talking. That seems like a good idea. It's okay. Everything is okay. Yui finds herself attempting some words of comfort after hearing Natsuki stammer herself into dejection. Seemingly in response, Natsuki approaches the base of the staircase and hesitantly sits herself down near Yui. Well, I can leave if you want. Yui shakes her head. Natsuki twists the cap off her drink and takes a sip. Despite receiving Yui's general permission, Natsuki doesn't say anything more. Yui continues to read, or at least pretends to. And the two just sit there for a long time. The tension seems to fade a little bit as time passes. Even without any words, this seems to mean at least something, though it's not clear what that may be. Lunch ends more quickly than expected. Natsuki is the first to stand up with her empty drink bottle. Are you coming today to the club? Yui nods. I'm sorry for being so awkward. I'm really bad at talking about this stuff. I just can't pause for some reason. I don't know why. But I want to eventually. There's no rush, I promise. Thanks. It's the next day. Natsuki appears from around the corner and steps up to the vending machine, glancing at Yui as she does so. Today she seems to be holding some kind of book as well. Oh, you're here again. Well, I just came here to read this because there aren't any people around here. Oh, I thought you didn't like how quiet it was. Well, I don't, but there's no people here. I see. Natsuki sits down. The mood feels much different today than it did yesterday. After yesterday's lunch and the club meeting that followed, Natsuki and Yui are beginning to feel more relaxed.
around each other again. Although Yuri's letter is still lingering in the back of Natsuki's mind, she continues to detour around it. But it's okay that I'm here. Yeah, I don't care. I mostly just don't feel like dealing with the crap I get from friends about it. Especially since like they all just assumed I stopped reading manga after I joined the literature club. Not that I'm trying to hide it from them exactly, but I just don't want it to come up again. Now after I've waited so long for this new volume to come out, literally months at this point, you don't have other friends who are into manga, not unless online friends count, and Sayori, but that's different because she's not exactly into it, she just likes it. You know what I mean. Honestly, you're lucky that the books you're into at least just look like books, so you don't have to feel like everyone is constantly judging you by what you're reading. That would be so awful, especially since I already hate attention so much. Well, it's a good thing I have thick skin, I guess. By the way, I would totally recommend finding some friends online if you haven't already. If you're like me and have no one to share your hobbies with. Oh, I have online friends. Since middle school, actually, I was especially desperate back then. It's somewhat embarrassing to reminisce about those days. Sometimes I feel like the me from a few years ago would have benefited from a good smack across the face, or whatever. We were all just stupid kids back then anyway. Some of the fanfics I wrote, thank God I used a pseudonym, but I liked it at the time. I got a lot of fulfillment out of it, and plus I can look back and say with confidence that I've become a better person since then. So I don't think I would change anything. I wonder if a few years from now we'll think the same thing about our current selves. Probably. That doesn't make you uncomfortable? No, of course not. I don't care what other people think of me, especially someone who doesn't even exist yet. Alright, here. Natsuki raises her hand to her face and forcibly slaps her on cheek. That's me from the future coming to terms with me right now. Also, ow. I didn't mean to do it that hard. Yuri doesn't seem to react, but then to Natsuki's surprise, Yui shyly looks the other way before lifting her arm and doing the same thing to herself, loudly loudly smacking her cheek. She turns red and stares into her lap, but is unable to hide a smile, as though it was wait, as though it was a really funny joke. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't know you had it in you. I I don't. I don't even know why I did that. Maybe I thought it would be funny. Sorry, I keep distracting you. You said you were looking forward to reading, but I keep going on about all this nonsense. I'll let you get to your reading. Oh, right. Yeah, I guess I'll do that then. The conversation ends quickly and Natsuki opens her book. The two read silently for the remainder of the lunch hour. But the whole time, Yui feels distracted by a twist of regret over having so abruptly forced the end of their conversation. You're back. Yeah, I'm here to lay low again. Another day has passed. During lunchtime, Natsuki finds herself having wandered to the stairwell once more. Hey, did you buy that? Natsuki quickly notices a bottle of iced tea on the staircase where she normally sits. Yui nods, avoiding eye contact. What? Like, for me? But you didn't know I was coming here today. What if I didn't show up? Well, I mean, I would have drank it myself, I guess. It was a stupid thing to do. No, it wasn't stupid. I just thought, never mind. What I meant to say is thank you. And that it's a really nice gesture. It's okay if you don't feel that way. I do. It was the other things that I didn't mean. I swear, please believe me. Yui pauses, then nods. Talking is hard. I get it wrong a lot too. So I believe you. Natsuki exhales in relief. She then sits down next to Yui and takes the drink. Knowing Yui, she was probably overthinking it so much that Natsuki tepid response filled her with self-doubt. I'll do something nice for you next time. Please, don't feel obligated. I want to do nice things too. Okay, thank you. You can thank me after I figure out how to do something nice. I'll do it then too. Natsuki sighed. Nothing. It just reminds me how I haven't been getting along with my friends lately. Is that why you've been coming here? Well, no, not exactly. I haven't been avoiding them on purpose or anything. They are just
other things I'd rather be doing during lunch lately. I like being around them when we are all just having fun, but they also just can't take anything seriously. So when I'm, I don't know, feeling serious, then their attitudes just really get on my nerves. It's only gotten worse ever since I joined the literature club. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I used to be really good with just putting up with it, because it would be so stupid to cause drama over a joke I didn't like or something. But I just have a hard time doing that lately. But it's my fault for being overly sensitive. If I have a problem, I'm not gonna demand for everyone about me to change. But yeah, I know Monica and Sayori really don't agree with that kind of thing, but they are not in my position. So it's easy for them to say that you should just communicate your feelings or whatever. It's not like my group, my friend group does that kind of thing. I would just be making an embarrassment of myself. Sorry, none of this has anything to do with you. I don't know why I'm talking about it. It's okay. I like listening. What? Listening to other people's problems? Yes. That's weird. Sorry. I just like learning about people. Do you think it's weird? No, that's not weird. I probably just misunderstood, so I don't know. Does that mean I should keep going? If you'd like. Okay. Well, I don't know what to talk about now. What are some things that you like about your friends? A lot of things. I mean, they are really fun to hang out with, like after school and on the weekends. And they really like my baking, and it's fun to complain about school together. They make me laugh a lot, and we don't have a lot of good memories and inside jokes. Oh, I'm bad at a lot of those things. So, are those all things that are important to you? Well, kind of, but they are not things I need to get out of everybody. Everyone in the club is really different from that, but I'm still friends with them too. Well, Sayori really likes your baking, and she makes you laugh, and she complains a lot. That doesn't mean she's anything like my other friends. Well, unlike them, she's a nice person too, who cares about your feelings. Excuse me. How about you don't talk that way about my friends that you don't know anything about? Natsuki stands up. No, wait. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I didn't want to say something bad. Please don't leave. Natsuki sighs and shakes her head. It's fine. As long as you understand that you can't just judge people like that. I'm sorry. Natsuki sits back down. You can't just compare friends like that and, like, measure who's better than who. Everyone's different. I'm sorry. I just I just don't like people who want to hurt you. A moment of silence stretches between them. They don't want to hurt me. We just like to tease each other about stupid things. It's fun. I don't like that. Well, that's why I'm friends with them and you're not. You like it? Just don't worry so much about me. It's not worth it. I'm sorry. I wish I knew how to help with social conflicts. Like how Monica can. She's good at these things. Not really. Also, I don't always want help. Sometimes it's just stuff I have to deal with myself. That's what Monica and Sayori never seem to understand. Sometimes all you do is look at them wrong and they are all like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? I just want to mind my own business sometimes and decide myself if I want to talk about things. The only one who understands that is you. So you really shouldn't be so hard on yourself. You're not as bad as you think. Oh, you don't need to reassure me or anything. I mean that. Plus, it makes sense that someone who doesn't talk a lot would make a good listener. Thank you. You're also nice. It's really hard for me. It doesn't come naturally at all. It's so weird because I always thought of myself as someone who can just say whatever's on my mind. But I feel like that only works when I'm annoyed or upset or I want to say something mean. Why am I like that? You don't have to answer that. I'm just talking to myself. Yui nods and remains silent. Natsuki notices her fidgeting with the pages of her book. How come you like reading so much? Oh, well, a lot of reasons, but I just get sucked into it so easily. It's so immersive. Like, I want to be a part of it. I think there are a lot of things about people in real life that make me feel uncomfortable and frustrated. Especially when it comes to following social conventions and group interactions. I just don't really understand it and I have no real desire to participate. But it's different with books. It feels like I always want to be around the characters. I feel such a strong emotional connection with them in ways that I've never felt with real people. So, in that way, it can sometimes feel more real than real life. Really? It's that hard for you to be around people, like, all the time. Mm, fairly often. especially in group settings when people are making all kinds of conversation and saying jokes and all that. I don't know what to do and I just disengage. Oh, that doesn't get lonely. I don't think so. I can still enjoy spending time with people one by one on one, and I have online friends too, of course. Do you ever do you ever wish that you could be friends with the characters in your books all the time? Sometimes so badly that it makes my heart ache. Yeah, me too. Really? A lot. Like, more than anything. After Natsuki mutters that silence fills the stairwell once more, but it's a mutual silence, one full of understanding. Ooh, okay, last one. Wonder how this is gonna unfold. This would lead into the events of the main story. Hey, oh, hello. I almost thought you weren't coming today. Yeah, well, lunch is already more than halfway over. Natsuki had typically been meeting Yui in the stairwell much earlier, since it had been a good way of dodging her friends when she didn't feel like seeing them. Today, she's holding a large plastic container in both hands. I went into my friends, so I hung out with them for a while. Is that so? Yeah. I was in a good mood today, so I figured I should. I hadn't seen them in a while, which I had to come up with an excuse for, but I expected that. Plus, I have way more of these than I know what to do with, so I figured I would share with them too. As she sits down, Natsuki opens the lid of her container. You make cupcakes? You know it. It's been a while at this point, so I figured it was about time again. You can take one if you want. Yui takes a cupcake and carefully twirls in between her fingers. It's brown with dark green frosting, immaculately shaped into a floral pattern and topped with some kind of glittery powder. How pretty. I just ate, so I may not be able to finish it. Are they for the club? Yeah, I guess. So, I didn't really think about it. I just made them. I just thought that because green is Monica's favorite color, right? Well, yeah, but that's not really. Yui takes a small bite. This is green tea flavored. I love green tea. Oh, do you? It was just a random idea I wanted to try, so don't laugh at me. I'm not. I just felt happy. Oh, sorry. Usually when... Never mind. What I mean is that I'm glad. Sorry for saying dumb things again. I just wanted to do something nice. And this is something I happen to be good at. And I do know that you like them from past experience. You returns word recalling the time she treated herself rather generously to Natsuki's cupcakes. Ironically, her mouth is too full of cupcake for her to stammer an excuse, so she just settles for a disapproving look. How did you get into baking? Oh, well, I don't know. It kinda just always appealed to me. Well, a few years ago I read this one manga with a lot of baking, so I got like super into it for a while. I was probably making stuff almost every day, but it's something that I always knew I'd liked anyway. It's like baking is like art, but when you get good at it, it gets more delicious too. I'm struggling to imagine myself putting my heart into something so artistic, knowing that it would just be eaten afterwards. Yeah, maybe you're too practical for it. I think I prefer to be on the receiving end. That's my other favorite part about it. It's something I can do that makes a lot of people happy, like unconditionally. Everyone is always so thankful, and in that moment you get to be like the bringer of joy. I don't know, it just makes me feel valued. Yeah, I guess that. So you were able to make up with your friends today? Um, there wasn't really anything to make up with them about. We weren't fighting or anything. You weren't. Maybe I misunderstood. It only turns into a fight if I lose my cool, and that's just unnecessary drama. It only makes things worse. So they are not going to stop. I mean, it only happens sometimes anyway. It's just the way they are. I'm the only one who ever has a problem with it. It's not worth it. Especially since I have somewhere to go now when I don't feel like hanging out with them. Oh, I see. The cupcake's empty foil wrapper audibly crinkles as Yui clenches a fist. I'm glad that the situation is resolved and that you don't have to avoid them anymore. Yeah, me too. And I don't have to bother you during your alone time anymore. I'm sure you have a lot of reading to catch up on. Yeah, I know that. Hang on for a sec. know that cupcakes are basically nothing compared to all the stuff you've done for me. But it's the best I can do. So you can have the rest of them. Natsuki grabs the box and slides it over to Yuri's feet. Yuri stares at the box. Then she shakes her head and slides them back. You should save them for your other friends. But I made them for you. Natsuki's voice whines as she protests. I know, and I like them very much. Exactly as you thought. You succeeded. But I know you care about making your other friends happy too. And if this is the way you know how to make that happen, then I'm not going to take it from you. No, they were for making you happy. You make me happy. You're worth more than cupcakes to some people. That's why they want to spend time with you and be your friend. Without warning, tears pour from Natsuki's eyes. She pulls her knees to her chest and starts sobbing into her arms. Natsuki, I'm such a bad person. Yuri stammers, feeling panicked. I didn't mean to say something bad. Natsuki shakes her head and wipes her eyes. You didn't. I just... Natsuki tries to choke back her sobs, but struggles to speak through them. I just really hate myself sometimes, and it feels so wrong when you say those nice things to me. Like, I don't deserve it. I'm sorry. No, I am. I'm so difficult, and I can't think of even a single thing about myself that somebody would like. And I hated myself for bothering you during lunch. I just thought it was my chance to be a good person, like to be nice and do the things you wrote about in the letter. I knew if I tried in the club, Sayori and Monica would be super annoying and make a huge deal out of it. You know, I think a lot of those negative things about myself. I never felt like a good person. I always scrutinize everything I say, and later I feel like I said all the wrong things. And I just spend so much time thinking about myself, hating myself, and feeling like everyone else must hate me too. So I understand some of that through my own experience. And that's why I wanted to write the letter and express my feelings. It pained me to see those things in someone else that I saw in myself. Natsuki sniffles. Yui rustles through her bag and pulls out some tissues, then hands them to Natsuki. Wait. Monica told me that it takes a good person to reflect on these things. The desire to improve yourself that makes you're a good person, so don't worry so much. Also, there are things about you that people would like, so like what? Like like how you're fun for people to be around, and you're not shy, and you know how to make people laugh, and you're very passionate about things, and you know how to take the lead, and you care a lot about people, and you care a lot about other people, and just a lot of things. Oh, well, now you're making me feel really embarrassed. Well, you're the one who asked. And don't you think I feel embarrassed? Natsuki tries to hide a smile, then she sighs as it fades again. Every time I come here, I always think it's the last time, but then I keep coming back for some reason. Is that bad? It's really confusing. I mean, my friends and I go way back, so ditching them all the time feels like, I don't know, feels like what? Natsuki's voice gets quiet. Maybe I'm scared that they'll get mad at me. I really don't know what to do. She pauses. Yui stares into the distance, tracing her eyes along the patterns of the floor tiles while she thinks to herself. What would you do, hypothetically, if your friends were happy for you instead of mad at you? Happy for what? Happy that your new club is making you happy. Well, that's just not as that's just not a fair hypothetical. Natsuki says that, but with little confidence in her voice. I always tell myself that I don't rely on the approval of others to be happy, and I still feel that way, but I'm spending time with people who put me down whenever I don't have their approval. That's probably what's making me feel so confused, because I'm threatened out of the things that should make me happy. So no matter what, it's like I have to be unhappy to be happy. It's making my head hurt. That must make it really difficult to feel comfortable with yourself. Being made to feel like you're wrong just for being the person you are. It really goes against everything I believe in, doesn't it? It goes against the kind of person I want to be. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with a lot of things. Natsuki presses her palms into her forehead and shakes her head. I know what's best for me, but I keep convincing myself out of it. It's so much easier to be comfortably unhappy than it is to be something so scary. To do what? you, you know, to end it with them. That Natsuki nods. I didn't think you were actively considering that as an option. I wasn't until recently. It's just one of those things where, like, it's been a certain way for so long that you just get used to it. Like, so much of you has gone into it, so much that it feels like that's just how your life is. And throwing it away is like throwing away such a big part of your life. It makes me feel sick to think about. It's Natsuki size. It's just really scary. It's terrifying. What are you scared of? I don't know a lot of things. Like being alone. Not having anyone to talk to or hang out with. Not being able to replace what I have with them. And I don't want them to hate me. And I'm scared they'll hurt me for going against them. Physically. Not physically, but Yui clenches her fist. Natsuki, what? If anyone even thinks to cause you harm, I will unleash hell upon them. Natsuki snorts in laughter. Don't laugh at me. Sorry, I liked that. That's all. Oh, well, I meant it. I know you did. Natsuki gives Yui an endearing look. I needed it. As the conversation lapses, Natsuki again slides a box of cupcakes over to Yui. Just take them, okay? I don't want other people to have them anymore. Are you sure? Natsuki nods. I'm sure. I will then. I'll enjoy them. Natsuki looks away, but a feeling of warmth spreads through her. She holds on to that feeling, knowing it will give her courage. Ah, you're here first today. And you brought reading material? Natsuki is sitting in her usual spot, this time holding a volume of manga while her lunch sits beside her. Yui sits down as well and opens her own book. It sucks when a good series has to come to an end. Like, it's such a big part of your life, and then one day there's just nothing left. It makes you feel so empty. Unfortunately, I'm about to experience that myself. I'm on the last book of this series. That sucks. But there's also something satisfying about letting a story conclude. I don't know if I'd want it to go on forever. Maybe. But there are some things that I wish could. On the other hand, have you ever read something that overstayed its welcome?
Yeah, definitely.
I can think of at least one thing I've read that got pretty unbearable like halfway through and the ending really sucked. So it sucks when something good has to come. Wait. It sucks when something good has to end. But it also sucks when they just keep inventing more plot until you don't like it anymore. I guess it sucks either way. Well, that's the nature of all things. They come to an end. The two fall silent. They slowly eat while making their way through their respective reading material. Except Natsuki doesn't seem to be touching her food at all. You don't go out during the weekends, right? Excuse me? Like with friends at the mall or downtown or whatever. I'm not a total shut in, you know. Oh, my bad for making assumptions. Well, I'm sure I go out less often than other people, like you and the others in the club. I don't really meet with friends and habitually spend time with them, with spend time like that. I'm usually meeting with my board game group. Board game group. It doesn't matter, it's just more nerdy stuff. Why do you ask anyway? It was just curious. I just realized that I couldn't picture it, so I was just curious. Yui looks at Natsuki and realizes that she's shaking. Don't look at me like that. Sorry. Natsuki pulls her knees into her chest and puts her head down. I can't take this. Did I do something? Yui gets flustered, her mind racing over what she may have said or done. I did. I ended it. I texted them earlier telling them, and then I just blocked them because I'm so afraid of their responses. And now it feels like I'm dying inside. Oh, that's... I'm sorry. Totally unsure of what to do, Yui can barely find any words of support to offer. Meanwhile, the sound of Natsuki's unusually hard breathing fills the air. Then she speaks again, barely above a whisper. Help me. I feel sick and I want to hit my head against things. Please help. I can't take this. You may be having a panic attack. With that realization, Yui's demeanor suddenly changes. I have experience with this, so I'll help you through it, okay? Natsuki meekly nods through her rapid breath, head still buried in her knees. Yui slides herself over to Natsuki and sits on the step behind her. Then she puts her hands on Natsuki's shoulders. Can you feel my hands? Natsuki nods. Her shaking becomes much more apparent
through Yui's sense of touch. Yui keeps her voice low and gentle. You're safe right now. You're in a good place. You are in a good and safe place where nothing can hurt you. Natsuki nods once more. Although Yui is only touching Natsuki's shoulders, she can practically feel her racing pulse through the base of her neck. We'll do a breathing exercise together. All you have to do is listen to my breath and breathe along with me. Let's breathe in now. Yuri takes a deep, slow breath. Beneath her hands, she feels Natsuki's shoulders rise as Natsuki takes a breath of her own, trying to mimic Yui. They exhale together, although Natsuki's breath shakes on the way out. That's good. Let's keep going. Yui breathes in once more and Natsuki joins her. They continue like that for a few more cycles while Yui closely monitors. Eventually, Yui feels Natsuki rest more of her weight into Yui's palms. Let's focus on the physical world. All you have to do is focus on the feeling of your breath going in and out, and the weight of my hands on your shoulders. You're in a safe and comfortable physical space. Minutes pass in silence. By now, the worst of it has passed, but Yui is determined not to move away until Natsuki prompts her to. Meanwhile, Natsuki has lifted her head off her knees and her breathing has mostly steadied. Then she takes a final deep breath and slowly pulls herself to her feet, causing Yui to let go. She stretches her arms. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to freak out. I didn't know what my deal is. You don't have to apologize. This must be enormously stressful for you. Is that going to keep happening? It may or it may not. We can take measures to help prevent it in the future, but I think it will naturally get better over time. Natsuki motions to sit back down again, so Yui moves over. Yui turns away to pick up her open book from the dusty floor, which she had hastily set down earlier. She brushes the dust off the cover. I don't think I could have gone through that alone. But you're not alone. Feeling shy again, Yui speaks into her own lap. From now on, you don't have to do anything alone. As she says that, Yui tenses up. It's rare for her to so openly share her thoughts, but something about Natsuki of all people makes it feel so much more natural to do so. Perhaps because, like Yui, Natsuki is so timid and uncertain of herself. Natsuki does such a good job at hiding it.
that it's taken a long time for Yui to finally realize it. And because of that, Yui is able to deliver the reassurance that she herself would have wanted, demonstrating that you deserve the love of others. If you can accept that for the first time, then perhaps you can begin the tumultuous journey to. But that's so weird. Tumultuous journey of learning to love yourself. I've never seen that word. Do you really mean that? You're probably gonna regret saying that if you do. How so? Because I'm probably gonna have a lot of free time during the weekends from now on. So you're giving me permission to be as annoying as I want and drag you around to a lot of places. I see. But you already said it, so you can't take it back now. Well, I suppose I have no choice but to accept that responsibility then. So wait, what happened during the... Why were they so uptight in the main game? Was that because of Monica? Maybe Monica suddenly changed in the main game. I know a good ice cream place. Oh, that means you'll finally figure out my favorite ice cream flavor, huh? What are you talking about? Oh, you don't remember? The first day that you came to the club, you guessed everyone's favorite ice cream flavor, but for me, you said you had no idea. Seriously? I don't remember that at all. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. I said it was probably green tea. Yui shakes her head. It's a good guess, but my favorite is usually to get chocolate and raspberry together. Chocolate and raspberry? How fancy. How is that fancy? Oh, I don't know. I feel like I should have guessed something like that. Well, maybe next time I'll try chocolate and strawberry. Hey, strawberry is my favorite. What a coincidence. I think it helps to have something to look forward to. I still have the sick feeling in my stomach, but it's easier now to convince myself that I did the right thing. Is that anything better I could be doing? Not that I know of. There's nothing that will make this easy for me, and you already did more than I thought anyone could. Come to think of it, we never talked about the letter you wrote, but I feel like we are way past that
at this point. I don't even know what to talk about, except I think it helped me understand my needs a little bit better. The way I like to be treated, and the kinds of friends that I want to have. That's why I wanted to start coming here in the first place, even though I was so scared of causing more problems. I thought I thought it was a coincidence that you went into me here initially. Oh, uh, well, not exactly. What do you mean? Nothing. I I may have tracked you down first with the help of Sayori. That's. But you said I was shy. Okay, I wasn't ready to like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Well, I guess I'm glad that you worked up the courage, even if it was in your own way. I can tell that you've been making a lot of difficult decisions. It's brave, and it will make things better in the long run. I think anyone would be proud of you for it. Anyone. You mean like you? Yes, like me. You know, I could get used to this as long as long as you don't tease me too much. Fine. Just a little then. That's fine. I know how uncertain everything feels to you right now, but I really do think that good things are in store. Those are my honest feelings. Thanks. It feels nice to be reassured. The two girls continued their conversation through the remainder of lunch, but a new feeling hangs in the air, a feeling of greater certainty in their path forward. In just a few hours, there will be another literature club meeting, where the four club members will happily spend time together. Each of them, all with their own special qualities, have something unique that they can deliver to one another. Through friendship and literature, the club members will continue to grow and find new happiness together. The end of each chapter is the start of the next. Yui thinks to herself. Since she's about to finish her long-running series, it would be best to have a new book lined up. Perhaps this weekend would be a good time to visit the bookstore together. Huh. Okay. But why is there two missing? There's one wallpaper missing. There's two poems missing. Two CGs missing. And I've got all of them from the main story. I'm missing something? Oh, okay. Was missing something. Okay, everyone. We are gonna be taking a break from the usual activities today. I was thinking since people are starting to talk about the festival, it's a good time for us to go over the general direction of the club and all that. I think it'll help us figure out what to do for the festival, you know. Oh, Sayori and I already came up with a really good plan. Really? For the festival? Yeah. So the plan is this, okay? You, you and Yui collect information ahead of time on which clubs and classes are doing food booths. Then we can take a map and plan the most efficient route or booth. So we can get to most of them before the lines get too long. Hey, that has nothing to do with the club. Well, you have to let me finish. Alright, fine. Go ahead. Alright, so basically, we get all the food we can, then we come back here and we all eat together. That's all. Wow, I got tricked twice by the same joke. Boo, don't be a hater. It's not like you can come up with anything better. Look, even Yui was thinking about it. No, I wasn't. I would really prefer to do something literature related. We can eat together anytime. The festival is a unique opportunity. Besides, it's been quite a while since we've seen any new interest in the club. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. We really get a shot at showing people what the literature club is all about. I'll tell you what, we can do both. Right? We'll make time for your food mission and still put together a public event. Oh my gosh, yes. I was just joking, but that's a really good idea. Well, I'm glad that's settled. I think the question is how to come up with an event that demonstrates everything you can get out of the literature club. Well, that's kind of tough because everyone gets something different out of the club. Okay, how about this? Let's go around and have each of us talk about what we've gotten out of the club so far. that could really help us figure out what kind of reputation we want to build. Yeah. That's too embarrassing. What? Wait. But you'd have to. You have so much to talk about. That's exactly why. And I'm sure Natsuki feels the same way. Well, maybe, but I didn't plan on arguing against it or anything. I mean, it's the leadership club. We talk about that stuff together, right? And the only way to get more comfortable with it is to suck it up and do it. Oh, you're not wrong. I'm sorry for being resistant. It's not good to say suck it up because it sounds like their feelings don't matter. What? My bad. It's just a habit I need to break. Well, anyway, who's gonna start? I'll start. Turn that down a little bit more. I was the first to join after all. Wouldn't that be me? No, I wanna go first. Fine. You can start. I don't mind. Yay. So, gosh. It feels like so long ago. I think I joined because I wanted to have fun sharing poems with people. It seemed like it would be a safe way to express myself. You know, like if it's just a poem, then I can share it without feeling like I'm burdening everyone with my problems. And I thought it would be a really good way to get to know other people too. So yeah, I was really surprised when I walked in and it was just Monica. And she was sleeping. Don't remind me of that. Oh gosh. Yeah, but it seemed like so much fun to help start a new club. Especially since writing helped me so much. I wanted to see it help other people too. But it ended up being me who was inspired. Because I remember feeling like Monica was just so sweet and mature, and that I could trust her with anything. It made me feel a lot less alone. Having someone who knew even the bad things about me. And at that point, I knew the literature club was gonna be special for a lot of people. Yeah, I felt the same way. It really helped give the club a more cohesive vision. Yeah, and then you rejoined, but she was so different from us, and Natsuki too. I think for Yui it really
helped for me to take the lead before she was able to open up a little. But Natsuki was kind of the opposite, where she wasn't ready to get really close to someone really quickly. I never really thought about that sort of thing. I really feel like I've gotten better at understanding people's different needs and that makes me really happy because my friends are just the most important thing to me, and whatever new members we get, I want to help them in those ways too. I don't know if I would have continued coming to the club if it weren't for you, really. I know it wasn't too long ago, but it hurts to think about my behavior back then. I was really short-sighted. The only reason I came was to find others who were into fantasy. I suppose that was my idea of making friends with people, and I remember feeling uncomfortable because you and I have such different energy. I had such a specific idea of the kind of person I could be friends with. So when Sayori tried so hard to get to know me, I felt like I was just wasting her time. I think I was naive to assume that similar interests were the key component of friendship. Sayori and I were able to be friends because she always thinks about the needs of other people. That's something I never knew how to do or even thought to do. But I stayed in the club thanks to that, and I started trying as hard as I could to understand people better. You really went above and beyond when it came to that. I was just super impressed. Well, I always hated that I didn't know how to behave like a person who easily liked. Wait. Oh, I always hated that I didn't know how to behave like a person who is easily liked by others, like the two of you can. And because of that, I spent so much time thinking about my own behavior and all the wrong things I said. But the whole time I should have been thinking about other people instead, not myself. Once I started doing that, I was able to make friends with everyone else. Oh, also, I discovered that sometimes I'm a better communicator when I take the time to write rather than speak. It's so strange the way things turned out. It's so far different from anything I ever would have expected. But I'm happy. I suppose we don't always know what we really did. Wait, what we really need. Oh my gosh. You're so cute when you're so cute that I'm going to throw up. Okay, please don't do that, Sayori. Besides, I'm not cute. Hey, isn't that my line? Oh, well, for me it's actually true, so What are you saying? Nothing. I finished my part, so somebody else take their turn. My heart. Sayori, take some deep breaths. Okay, fine, I'll go. Yui, I can't believe you were complaining about doing this and still went before me. What a show off. I was just following up on Sayori. It was the easiest way to get it over with. Besides, you left out the most important thing that you get out of this club. I did. Yeah. A regular supply of your favorite cupcakes. Oh no, I forgot that too. I'm a traitor to the Cupcake Queen. Neither of you are forgiven. Looks like only Monica will be getting cupcakes next time. No. I can't eat that many cupcakes. Yeah, true. Only you can. Hey. Well, anyway, I'm just putting off talking. It's kind of hard to talk about this stuff, but I guess what it comes down to is that I'm in a much better place mentally than I was when I first joined. And that's because everyone helped me realize that I had some really toxic friendships going on outside the club. It was honestly a really painful thing to go through, having to cut them out. It still hurts to think about. I'm sorry, Natsuki. It's fine. I knew it was for the best, and I was right. I guess for me, it's all about feelings. I was only ever ridiculed for having feelings, so I thought the right thing to do was to just ignore them. It took me a really long time to realize that it's not really how things are supposed to work, and I guess that's thanks to everyone who took the time to respect my feelings, even when I was being like the biggest jerk. I'm really sorry for being such a jerk to everyone. I was really the worst. Natsuki's voice shakes a little. We love you, Natsuki. I just hate that I was like that. Everyone did so much for me, and I could never do anything in return. That's not true. Natsuki, you've done a lot more than you think. This club really wouldn't have been the same without you. I mean that. Remember how judgmental I was when you first showed up? It was like I couldn't accept anything other than my own idea of what a literature club was supposed to be. Apparently, that was more important to me than the opportunity to bring you some happiness. You really taught me that anything that makes someone happy is worthy of respect. It even inspired me to start playing piano. That's something that means a whole lot to me. So there's no need to put yourself down. Okay. Natsuki wipes her eyes. You helped me a lot too. It's so much fun to have you around, and you helped me become a better person. Having a problem doesn't make you needy or inconvenient. It means that there's something that needs to be better And it means that there's something that needs to be better for you. Needs, yeah. And you always deserve that. I agree. Seeing us have some of the same struggles made me a better person as well. I wouldn't want to change anything about our time here. I don't think any of us would. I'm sorry I got all dramatic again. That's all I wanted to say, so Monica, Monica, Monica can go next, or go now. There's no need to apologise. It was something I wanted to talk about anyway, because it made a big difference for me. I was always such a strict perfectionist who never took enough time to believe in the best of other people, but everyone kept proving me wrong. I made the mistake multiple times, thinking that my way was the best for everyone, or thinking that I was needed to solve other people's problems. But I think being a leader means that you have to acknowledge that you're not perfect, and that the best thing you can do is to help guide people rather than to do everything for them. We are all good people. We are all equals. I think that's the most important thing I've gotten out of the club. Realizing what that really means. Sayori, what are you doing? I just thought that we should be writing some of these things down. Things about the club that are valuable to us. With a piece of chalk in her hand, Sayori writes the word trust on the chalkboard. This is because you showed me that I could trust you with everything about me, not just my good side. Suddenly, Yui takes a piece of chalk as well. She writes understanding. I owe a lot of gratitude to everyone who took the time to understand me, even though it was so difficult for me to express myself. In that case, Monica takes a piece of chalk as well and writes the word respect. I always thought I was a respectful person, but it took the club for me to realize that there was more to it than I thought. And I'm a better person because of it. I have another one. Sayori writes balance. Sometimes people want different things out of a friendship, or they need time before they are ready to become close. So it's important to keep things balanced between you and the other person. That reminds me, Yui writes reflection. I've always been a reflective person, but most of it has been nothing more than hating myself for all the things I thought I did wrong. Once I started reflecting on other people and not just myself, a lot of things changed for me. So I think that's the most important one for me. That's great. We have a whole list of things now. Suddenly everyone turns to look at Natsuki. Well, everyone took all the chalk don't look at me like that. Jeez. You could just... You could have just asked. Monica hands her piece of chalk to Natsuki. Then Natsuki sighs and writes self-love. I don't know how far I've gotten with it yet, but it feels like things are at least on the right track. So there, that's my contribution. Together, everyone stares at the words on the board. Wasn't this club supposed to be about literature? It is. We still do a lot of literature. Friendship and literature. Yeah, you're right. Friendship and literature. Natsuki and Yui gently nod as well. Hey, let's all take a picture together. We don't have one yet, right? Hey, you're right. Make sure you send it to me after. Wait, can I brush my hair first? Or something? Oh, you're fine. You already have the best hair out of all of us. Everyone get together. I can't fit you all in. Okay. Okay, everyone, ready? And click. I'm really glad we talked about this stuff. It's easy to forget how far we've come with only 4 members. Yeah. I have so many happy thoughts right now. I'm getting some really good inspiration for a poem. You know, I feel the same way. I kind of want to get some writing done. Me too. I think I would like that as well. Everybody's looking at me again. I'll do it too, but I might not feel like sharing it. That's okay. The 4 members of the leadership club disperse and return to their desks, each equipping themselves with a pen. Natsuki and Yui give each other a quick glance, then start writing immediately. Sayori stretches, then does the same. But Monica is left tapping her pen against the paper, unsure where to start. Just move your hand. Monica mouths to herself. Wipe the way into your heart. Her mind full of thoughts, memories, and inspiration, Monica navigates past her mental barriers and begins to write. It doesn't matter what, just that it's something new. Okay. I think that was a good, I thought that was a really good, way to sort of show how they began. The, the literature club and all that, so before the actual main story. I actually quite enjoyed that. Which I wonder if they're going to be doing any more stuff. And yeah, there wasn't any choices in this one, but it was more to show what actually happened before. Okay, you get that though. Other two things. Um, so there's two. That's the group one. I guess they did a funny one. Um, okay. Artwork drawn by Shashley to celebrate Monica's birthday in 2019. Okay. Other things here that are not, I haven't gotten yet. I know the secret to be in the main game. All I needed really was the CGs to do the main to get the main stories uh good or secret ending. But I'm missing two poems as well. And wallpaper. Guessing there's a way to 100% it. I don't know. I might read this one. So ethics. The subject is, I think that's replying to ethics. Simply put, it's not our job to arbitrarily decide upon some code of ethics just because we are the first ones to do this to our knowledge. That's the government's job to figure out. Long after we've made enough headway for it to go longer applied to us, it's fundamentally flawed to apply ethical reasoning to this any anyway, because humanity's code of ethics is based upon nothing more than our knowledge and understanding of life forms similar to ourselves. We don't have ethics for killing bacteria or plants, only for the creatures that we can convincingly project our emotions onto. The humans in our VMs operate completely differently from us on a fundamental level, and therefore should not be taken any more seriously than a machine that's programmed to print. I feel sad. We are engineers, not philosophers. Okay? And that is it. Again, I still don't know how to get the rest of it. I got all the CGs. The secrets has something to do with the main game, which I don't really know. I know there's ways of getting the secrets through the story, but I think I need to take different routes differently. Um, I think it's might go back on doing this myself, but basically the full game, I think I've basically finished with DDLC, Doki-Doki, Lucha Club. Um, there's some things I've missed. Um, there are the music. Yeah, I collected 82%. I don't know about the 18% that I'm missing. They'd probably be in the pictures. What I was talking about. But I'm gonna finish it there. Um, I actually really enjoyed the whole game. It's paid content right now. Because I think you can still download the original free version, which is just the main story. But the this one comes with all the side stories and all that, which I actually enjoyed. It showed a lot more in depth um of them actually forming the club, even though there was no choices in it. It was a really good way to actually show how they formed. But I'm gonna leave it there. Um, so thanks for watching. Um, I'll probably go on to more Ender Lilies next, and was probably finish up Resident Evil 4 as well. Um, and I think tomorrow I might be getting the Legend of Zelda Skyward Swords to play, so I'm thinking about streaming that as well. Um, I'm pretty sure that is coming out tomorrow, so I'll probably start that tomorrow. Um, thanks for watching. Um, hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.